Well, good evening everyone, welcome to another edition of the Basic Life with yours truly. I'm just inside Eldon Square because there's a meeting on about what it's like to live as a transgender man as well as a transgender woman. And various people from different backgrounds have come in to attend this event, and I think it's important to listen to those speaking out about being transgendered and experience life as a transgendered man or woman. So I'm going to meet some people throughout this programme and then try and get them on for a quick chat. Well, first up I'm going to get Mr. Stephen Kelly from Gateshead Council, who's just did a speech about transphobia and what to do when to report transphobia and encourage people to come out as transgendered. So hello Stephen.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Hello. Tell us about the purpose of you being at this meeting and explain briefly what you were talking about earlier in the meeting.
So this was an opportunity for me to come to this event and raise awareness of hate crime, specifically targeted towards the transgender community. It's been a fantastic opportunity to try and raise awareness and talk about some of the things that we're doing in Gateshead to try and encourage the reporting of hate crime, to tackle the barriers to reporting hate crime, but also to celebrate some of the positives that we've had in terms of liaising with different groups to talk about hate crime and having the opportunity to find out why people don't report.
So have you also been involved with any of them then? Like gay, lesbian or transgender groups to help them feel more confident about themselves?
We do. We work with lots of different groups, both from Newcastle and Gateshead. We recognise that a lot of people from Gateshead will come across the water to Newcastle to the groups that are based here, so we're kind of trying to be proactive and not just kind of isolated specifically to Gateshead, but to come across to Newcastle as well, and we get very much the same feedback from a lot of the same groups about the same particular issues around hate crime.
That sounds very good. Stephen Kelly, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Lovely to meet you.
That I am not an activist. It might seem like I'm an activist because I'm stood here today talking about trans rights, but unfortunately I really don't want to be here. I really don't. The reason that I'm here is because a certain group of people have potentially got the opportunity to threaten trans rights, and I'm here not as an activist but in self-defense. So the betrayal of trans people as activists is a really toxic portrayal. It really creates a hostile environment for trans people. The statement that I'm going to make, that I am a woman, I was born a woman, and I have been a woman for 26 years, according to some people, makes me an activist. But unfortunately, I'm not. I'm not prepared to go to rallies and to stand in government and to fight tooth and nail for everything that I work for, because I am busy trying to work within mental health. As was mentioned earlier, the legislation that we're talking about here has no effect on the change of laws regarding single-sex spaces. This legislation will not change single-sex spaces whatsoever. That law is entirely related to the Equality Act 2010, which is not up for debate right now. So, why are we talking about single-sex spaces? And it's because it was mentioned in this reform consultation. The reform consultation has suggested that that single-sex spaces should be questioned. And the reason that they had been pressured to include that in the reform was because of the fact that a group of activists, actual activists, had initially protested Labour shortlists to prevent trans women from being included within them. They then created an organisation which has gained some power to oppose the Gender Recognition Act, which has nothing to do with the Human Rights Act, which is essentially an attempt for them to prevent a simple logistical law being passed. They have used rhetoric that has very much implied that trans women specifically are rapists, are paedophiles, and all.
Happy birthday, Kathy. I hope you leave David plenty cold sausages. Guess who said that? Well, beside me is a member of the transgender community of Newcastle, Jason Lee, and who's one half of the Tea Boys on Pride World Radio. Hello, Jason.
Hello, David.
Hello. So, how long have you been coming to this event?
To this event, this is the first one.
This one, and how have you find it so far?
Very good, informative.
And have you found anything interesting about what the current speakers have been speaking about 5-10 minutes ago?
Yeah, a little bit. I fought for the first Gender Recognition Act quite a few years ago. So it's good to actually hear other people and hear what their views are and their points that they're trying to make as well.
And do you think they're more confident with coming out and speaking out about the gender recognition and like encouraging others to speak out and let them know that they're just equal people?
I think so. It does look that way.
It does look that way as well. What would your advice be to like people who are like transgendered and like not out in the open? What would you say to them to like boost their confidence and like assure them that they're safe?
One of the things I do tell people is never be ashamed of who you are. Everyone is unique, and you should implore that. You know, no two people are the same.
Yes.
You can be safe if you go to, especially a lot of our social nights and things like that. We can guarantee a safe space where you can meet other trans people as well, and us.
That's staying in.
And us. And we can help you if you want any information on things about like social things, or even to do with actual transitioning. We're there to help.
That's lovely. Jason Lee, thank you very much.
No problem, David.
I told you to cover half drink, didn't I? Don't lie. So I'm going to quickly, obviously run a little bit out of time, which I thought we would, but I was optimistic. A little bit more about the single-sex spaces, just quickly against trans men. Mankind 2016 notes that 19 organisations offered refuge or safe housing provisions to male victims in the UK. A total of 76 spaces in all 19 of these places in the UK, and only 20 of these spaces are dedicated to male victims, and that's even fewer for trans men, and they are forced into a box. And there's, for non-binary people who don't identify with male or female, there is nowhere for them to go. They are forced to pick a gender. They are forced to look at themselves in the mirror and say, where would I be more safe? And nobody should have to question identity like that, because there's no right or wrong way to be trans, like I've said about 12 times in this talk. And back to occupational requirements, trans women can be rejected to be midwives, rape counsellors, victim support. Non-binary people can be rejected jobs in schools, and it's completely legal because it's seen as confusing children. And trans men are often denied care jobs due to occupational requirements. So I'm going to quickly go on, because we're running out of time, to Annabelle. I'd like to know what Annabelle uses they, them pronouns. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Well, that's it for this edition. Thank you everybody for letting me film on the show. From the speaker and from me, till the next time, goodbye.
Bye.